Hi, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Reverend Sherri's Metaphysical Bible Hangout. I'm Reverend Sherri James. I'm the senior minister of Up Church. And pardon me, I'm still adjusting my camera. So, oh, you can see Jordan's little. Okay, never mind. Anyway, this is going to be an awesome lesson. I'm very excited tonight. This lesson, this is my number one tip to get whatever you want out of life. I have proven it in my life. I've watched it in my spiritual mentor's life. I've seen it in the lives of other people. It'll probably surprise you, and you may even have some doubts, and I think that that's good. But I know that it is something that is absolutely going to be a game changer for you because it's been a game changer for me. So I'm excited. And this series that we're doing is called Empower the Giant Within You. And we've been working the last 9 weeks together. This is the last night of this series. We've been working the last 9 weeks to live the life that Spirit intended and to claim our spiritual inheritance, to develop the spiritual poise that comes with knowing what you are, and to remove the mental and emotional blocks to your full self-expression. And so we started in September, and we're just now wrapping up November 12th, 2015. This is a powerful series. The book itself is just incredible. I mean, she wrote that book. I mean, that's just the only way I know how to say it. She really wrote that book, and I'm honored to be able to teach it and to share this information with you. I think it's remarkable, and it has been transformative for me and a reminder of some things that I learned when I first got into truth, and hopefully it has been the same for you. This is our outline for tonight. I've got a couple of announcements, and we'll get to our opening prayer. We'll talk about why spiritual identity matters, and what are you. We'll look at what is non-resistance, and the essence of non-resistance is unity. And we'll talk about why non-resistance is your best move. In my opinion, your only move. 4 reasons non-resistance is the only move you ever want to make. And then we'll have Q&A. So step 9, so I always do a companion piece on the blog. And the one today is know that true victory comes through non-resistance. Know that true victory comes through non-resistance. And you can read that right at revsherri.com and just click on blog and you can go right there. Our platform is Webinar Jam. And what that means is that if you're coming to this YouTube video anywhere other than November 12th, and you want to join us live, you will need to be a part of my newsletter in order to stay in the loop and get the link to join us each week. Plus, I include other updates and other things that I only talk about in email. But if you want to be on that list, make sure that you are on the newsletter for revsherri.com. Now, what I'm really excited about. Pretty much consistently, you guys have asked me about the PowerPoint presentations for these lessons, and I said, this probably would make a great self-study course. So what I'm doing is I'm taking not just the PowerPoint presentations, but all the blog posts, all of the infographics. I am creating new material. All of the lessons will have their own set of study questions. I've got some planned, probably some unplanned interviews, one specifically with the Reverend Galen McDowell, who's the Assistant Executive Minister at Christ Universal Temple. I am really excited. This is going to be a robust self-study course. Plus, you'll get all of the videos and audios of the Bible Hangout. You will get transcripts of it, so not just the audio, because some people like to read, and you'll be able to go through and make notes. And the full text for Imelda Shanklin's What Are You? So all of that, plus whatever else I think of between now and then. And it's really, I still think it's a great price. It's only $35, but my subscribers can pre-order this self-study course for only $15. And so if you are coming to this video after well, you're not on my newsletter, but it's before December 31st, 2015, you can join my newsletter and take advantage of that subscriber discount. And I'm really excited about it. And the thing is that this course has been incredible. This has been a wonderful experience for me. I hope it has been that for you. And my intent is to even just far exceed that with the your own pace. You know, a lot of this material is stuff that you got to like take time with. It is not something, I mean, we blast through these chapters, and I think we still get, good information, but it is at taking just, sentence by sentence, and, taking that time and sitting with the material and finding where it resonates with you and looking for what is true about it for you, and that kind of paced work. You can only do in a self-study course, but I'm going to take all of the material for this course plus some extra stuff. I'm going to pack it all together. And so I've got a transcriber working right now, transcribing all the lessons. I've got, a couple working on the design. We put everything together, and that's what the time is. Otherwise, I just release it immediately. But that's what the work is. So I am very, very, very excited. Constance says, "What? Please put me down for mine." Do you give me permission to teach it? Absolutely. Absolutely, I give you permission to teach it. This is information that must be spread. It must be shared with people so that they know who they are and specifically what they are. So absolutely, you have my permission to teach it. This has been a 9-part series, and the two scriptures for this series are John 10:34. Is it not written in your law, I said you are gods? And Genesis 1:26. Let us make humankind in our image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion. And so, if you would just take a moment. Platform, this format. And I thank you right now for making this our last session for this series the best that it has ever been. I ask that you be my words, be my thoughts, be my eyes, be my ears, guide this discussion so that your people are fed, so that they have what they need, and so that they may wake up to who and what they really are. I know that every prayer I pray is answered, and so I relax and I allow the Spirit to have its way. Thank you so much. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. So this is our card. Hold on. Got to bring it up. Hold on. Let me check to see if there are any questions. Okay, we're good. We're good. Spiritual identity matters. You are a soul that has forgotten its divine identity, a soul now struggling to remember in the midst of time and in the confusions of experiences that you are the living Son of the living God. You are a soul that has forgotten its divine identity, a soul now struggling to remember in the midst of time and in the confusions of experiences that you are the living Son of the living God. I hope in this process I have impressed upon you the importance, the immeasurable importance of understanding how you identify. How you identify determines how you show up for life. It determines what you reach for. It determines how you see yourself in relation to other people. It is the determining factor in your experience. And we talked about, last week that, if you do not understand yourself to be a spiritual being, then you don't stand and claim all the things that come with being part of a spiritual being. It's as if you have been given the greatest gift of all time, and you have, which is life from God. And you treat it as if it is nothing. And when you call yourself a wretch, when you call yourself a sinner, when you call yourself any worm of the dust, whatever, picking any one of those terms or any version of those terms, maybe those things specifically, that when you call yourself those things, essentially what you do is, one, you lie, but two, is that you close off the avenues. In order to be a vessel for God, you have to identify yourself as a vessel worthy of God. And this is why Jesus says in John 10:34, does not your own scripture say that ye are gods? How you identify it, whatever your craft is. And let's say, well, let me take, for example, someone like a Misty Copeland, who is just really doing amazing things now with the American Ballet Theater and just an incredible celebrated dancer. She can't go out and think, I'm the second best dancer. In her mind, she's got to understand that I am ballet. Not just I'm a ballerina, but I am ballet. In order to be a conduit for this gift that she has been given. And you, being the living Son of the living God, must take on the spiritual identity that is the truth of who you are, which means you must own being the Christ. You're not it in totality, and you're certainly not it in the personal you. And I think that's where people get tripped up and they get confused, and it feels like vanity. This is not a vanity thing. If vanity is what it is for you, that won't work anyway. That ain't got no lasting value. This is about recognizing it's not me, but it's the Spirit that expresses through me. But you've got to be a vessel that can let it through. And which means that you've then got to identify in order to let it through. There is a video that Elizabeth Gilbert did with a TED Talk. And in the video, she talks about, I think they're Muslim, but she described the religious sect. And there are times when they come together around, let's say, the campfire, but in a circle, and they're dancing. And they're chanting. And then when one person feels that they step out into the center of the circle and they begin to dance, and it is the way that the Spirit moves through them, that it is otherworldly, that the dance is just, there's something beautiful and majestic and wondrous about it. And the chanters are saying that, they're saying Allah, 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 like that's God, that's God, that's God. Not saying that that person is God, but that the Spirit that flows through is. And we each had that experience. Sometimes in sports, we call it getting in the zone. But in order to be that vessel, you've got to claim being that vessel. Not in some kind of boastful way, but in a way that allows the Spirit to flow. If, for an instant, you affirm, I am the Christ, and you get a haughty attitude, you miss the whole point. That there is something humbling about realizing that through me, Spirit expresses. I was in the supermarket today before tonight's class, and I saw a little girl who I don't know what she may be challenged with, but I know she come from the hospital because she had the hospital bands like on her wrists, and her head was completely bald. And I don't know this family, I don't know where they came from, but I told the mom, I said, your daughter is the cutest little thing. And I said, she's just absolutely beautiful. Now, I don't know what that meant to them. I have no idea. I don't even know. But in that moment, I knew that I had to speak beauty. And I had to call forth the beauty that was in this little girl, even though as a little girl, she wasn't able to live the life that she could were she not dealing with whatever she's dealing with. And the mom smiled, and we talked for a little while, and she said, yeah, she spent the whole day in the hospital, so she gets to wear whatever she wants to. And it looked like she either had on like her night clothes or some kind of princess outfit, or I don't even know what it was, but it was like, it's just the best. And then as I stood behind them, because it took a minute for them to get through the line, as I stood behind them, I just began to speak life over this little girl because my spoken word is power. And this little girl, she's 3. I don't know what she's dealing with, but she was completely bald, which leads me to believe that perhaps she was undergoing some kind of chemo. And I said, through whatever power I have, I speak life over you. Through whatever gods may be, whatever spirit that I have been able to work in my life, I speak life over you. I didn't say this aloud to them. This is all happening inside of me. But you can't do that thinking that you're a worm of the dust. I mean, it's just, that's not available to you. It's contradictory. Because what I'm claiming is that my word has the power to heal. And I'm bold enough, not arrogant, but bold enough to claim that and to stand there and allow the Christ in me to call forth health in this little girl. So spiritual identity, it is enormously important. You must know who you are, and you must behave as what you are. You must live into your spiritual identity and live from the position of being divine. And you must not shrink from that. There's so many people who would seek to shame you or convince you that you are not who you know yourself to be. And you must be willing to stand steadfast and settle the question in your heart. No, I am divine. I am the Christ. It's your agreement doesn't make it so. I hope that's clear. I don't need your agreement. Not 1 second, not for 1 moment do I need your agreement. And you don't need mine. You don't need mine. However you decide to show up, that's between you and God. So begin to own what you are and begin to live from your divinity. This story stood out to me. I think it was my mom that first told me about it, and I thought it was just a powerful story. I wanted to highlight this guy tonight. So these 3 guys on the stand, I don't know which one is which, but Peter is the white guy. One of the black guys is Tommy Smith, and the other one is Juan Carlos. I don't know which one is which, but those 2. And they all medaled in the 1968 Olympics. And Peter really best lives this non-resistance principle. And I just wanted to highlight him because he lost his career for his stand against racism. He lost his career. He's a silver medalist. The Olympics in 1968 were in Mexico City, and this image, Tommy and Juan went back home. They were celebrated not by America, but certainly by the black community. But he went back home, Peter, as this pariah. And even though his times, he actually set a record that still stands today with the time that he did in 1968. But he stood with those men, and there's 2 things that they only had 2 gloves that could be shared. I mean, could be passed around. But they're wearing, you probably can't see it on the picture, but they're wearing a badge that says Olympic something for human rights, or something like Olympic Project for Human Rights, or something like that. And he wore that badge in solidarity with them. And they all knew what was going to happen when they walked up to the podium. And he had an opportunity to go in a different direction, and he did not. And it cost him his career. And many times along the way, the Olympic Committee offered to, I guess, reinstate him, because he essentially was not included in any future ceremonies when they recognized past winners. And he refused to denounce Tommy Smith and Juan Carlos. And they remained friends their whole life. And when Peter passed away in 2006 from a heart attack, Tommy Smith and Juan Carlos helped carry his casket and eulogized him. But their bond remained, and he had many opportunities to denounce the two men, to denounce Tommy and to denounce Juan, and he chose not to. You don't know, your life is a life of service, and you don't know what statement you're called to make, and you don't know, when it's going to be you that has to put it on the line. But it is the position of non-resistance, where you have settled it within yourself, that allows you to stand in the face of ridicule, to stand in the face of someone trying to take your career, to stand in the face of that and to say, I own the truth that is true for me. And though you may not agree with me, I don't need you to agree with me, because I have settled it within my own soul. And so his story just moved me this week, and I just wanted to share that. It's a fascinating story. There's a documentary called Salute. And again, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little circle badge that is above the left breast on each man. And so he wore that, and probably would have worn a glove if they had at least three gloves, but they only had two. And so the two black men wore the glove, and his commitment to stand with them and to make this stand against social injustice cost him really his career. So what is non-resistance? What is this thing that could cost you everything? Is this really your best move? That's the thing. Is this really, really, really your best move? And what I want to share with you is that the essence of non-resistance is unity. The essence of non-resistance is unity. We have a tendency, especially when we're going through a trying time, to think that it's just us. Whatever it is that you're facing, and I know I felt this way personally, it's just me. In fact, you can go through the highlight reel on Facebook, and maybe a few people post when things are not going right for them, but pretty much people, it's like, God, is everybody doing well? And nobody has any problems? And not that anybody doesn't. I mean, granted, it's a highlight reel, but the point is that if you're going through something, that if you're looking at the highlights from somebody else's life, it can make you feel as if your own life is that you're isolated and the only one struggling. And it's I find a moment by moment task to remind yourself that I'm not isolated, I'm not disconnected, I'm not out here all alone floating. And it don't even really matter what your situation is, because you could feel that if you feel that way, you will make it so that your circumstances support you feeling that way. So if you're single, it would be, I'm single, I don't have anybody, I don't have any kids, it's just me, right? But then if you're married, it's like, I'm in this marriage, I'm all alone. If you're going to feel alone, you're going to feel alone. And the non-resistance is to recognize that the essence of it is unity, that I am connected to all that there is. I am never disconnected. And that I'm connected because everything is substance, and all substance is connected. All substance touches one another. So though I appear to be this discrete unit, and you're this unit over here, and there's this entity over there, that we're each interconnected, that the life force that animates each of us is the same life force. And though it presses out of me with my personality quirks and my eccentricities and all the ways that I show up, it's still the same life force that presses through an Oprah or a Gandhi or a King or a Peter Norman. It's the same life force. And so I'm always connected. And you have to remind yourself of that. It's very easy to walk through this moment in time and feel like you are alone. And depending on whatever your thing is, if you are dealing with an illness, if you're dealing with a financial challenge, if you're dealing with whatever it is that you're dealing with, it can feel like I'm the only one going through this. Everybody else has except me. And yeah, I know that there's some other people that don't have, but I don't really know them. So everybody I know seems to have, right? And that's just not true. It's just really not true. First of all, we all are abundantly and lavishly abundantly supplied. But we find ourselves in these moments where we feel disconnected and we feel like life might not be fair. Like it might not be fair. We hope it is, but it might not be. You are an indispensable part of the universe. You are an indispensable part of the universe. One of the best ways to feel this, I find, is to go into nature. And I get the pleasure of doing this every Thursday morning now with Jordan as part of his class. But when you walk into nature and when you stand and look at the trees and listen to the birds and see the insects crawling, and you realize that the life force that moves all of this life is the same life force that flows through me. And though it has sentience in me, meaning I have the ability to look back on myself versus just moving on instinct, that it is still the same life force. Probably one of the greatest things, I used to live in Tahunga. And I lived in this home, and I got so many revelations. But one of the things that I would do is I would sit at my window in my bedroom, and I would look out the back window, which looked at the San Gabriel Mountains. And I watched this over the course of the year, and I saw all of these, like plants and trees and animals and all of this. And it dawned on me that the mountain is alive. The mountain is like, we think of mountains as like these immovable things, right? But the mountain is alive. How so? Because it sustains life. People say California doesn't have seasons, or Southern California doesn't, but actually, yes, we do. And I saw it. I saw the plants, the yucca plants that would grow up and then die off. In the summer, in the spring, in the summertime, not spring, in the summertime. And then they would come back, in the spring, and I got my seasons off. Die off in the wintertime, come back in the spring. But the point is that you saw this cycle of life. And then there were mountain lions that I could see from my window. I didn't go out there. I had mountain lions that you could see walking across the rim of the mountain. And then there were trees on it. And essentially there was all of this life that was happening on the mountain. And the only way for life to happen on the mountain is if there is life in the mountain. And that life that's in the mountain and in all the things living on the mountain is also in me. And if a mountain, if a sparrow, if whatever is indispensable, then I too am indispensable. Excuse me for that. My apologies. Mental resistance is the act of receiving hurt. Mental resistance is the act of receiving hurt. And mental non-resistance
is the act or the action of refusing hurt. Excuse me. One of the things that she says that I think is just powerful is that you have the ability to become so non-resistant that you render yourself impervious to harm. Nothing can touch you. This is powerful because mental resistance, we tend to think of resistance as what protects us, right? That I'm going to put a lock on my door. But how many people do you know with a lock on the door and an alarm in their house have had their house robbed? You are not protected by the physical things in your universe. How many you think, okay, my house, I'm in my house, the storm is coming. How many of you know, especially in the Midwest, know that the right storm will blow the roof off the sucker? Right? It will absolutely lay that house flat. So the protection is not in the physical thing. It never has been. The protection is in the non-resistance. It is in you realizing that the universe is good. And not just good, but absolutely good, meaning there's nothing in opposition to that good. Thank you, Ray. Ray says, bless you. All the armies in the world cannot protect you if you harbor resistance within you. That should be within you. All the armies in the world cannot protect you if you harbor resistance within you. You have got to get, you can't fight me if I won't fight you. Two people have got to agree to dance. In fact, whoever, and you've seen this in the boxing arena. Somebody wants to challenge the heavyweight champion, and he says, "No, I'm not going to fight you." In order for the fight to happen, there's an agreement on both sides. And so the art, the spiritual art of non-resistance is learning to withdraw your agreement from the conflicts that you have agreed to. Every conflict in your life required your agreement before it could become a living reality within your life. Every conflict. And so if you want to have a different experience, then you must first change what is happening inside of you. And that's where the non-resistance comes from. So the non-resistance is an inner spiritual poise. It is to be completely relaxed in the face of all things, good, bad, or indifferent. Not indifferent, because that's not what non-resistance is. Not indifference, but it is this holding to the understanding that all is good, that all is well, all shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. This is the essence of non-resistance. I want to check in. I says, today at work I reminded myself that I was the living son of the living God. I was prompted in my spirit to be in the presence of a certain spiritual sister. As soon as I did, she spoke the exact words I needed to hear. At that moment, I felt so grateful for this lesson. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. You are the living, and you got to say this over and over and over again. I am the living son of the living God. You got to affirm this truth. Continue to affirm this truth, because life would seek to have you feel otherwise about yourself. Non-resistance allows your natural magnetism to work in your favor. Now, I've taught this lesson many different ways. But here, hopefully this will make it clear. When you cut yourself, the moment you cut yourself, all of the healing properties to restore the place where you have cut begin to do their work and restore wherever you've cut yourself. If you get a paper cut or whatever, however you cut yourself, immediately your body begins to heal itself. That self-healing principle applies across your entire life. It applies to your money. It applies to your relationships. It applies to your business. It applies to your health. It applies to everything. What keeps the problem alive is you getting in the way. The only reason that a cut would not heal, and you know this if you've been a kid, is that you pick the scab. That is the only reason that a cut would not heal. And the way that we quote unquote pick the scab when it comes to a problem at work, or when it comes to a problem in our business, or a problem in our marriage, or a problem in our friendships, or a problem in our health, the only reason, the way that we pick the scab in those instances is when we are resistant. Because when we are resistant, and whether we're resistant through anxiety, through worry, through anger, through frustration, through fear, through doubt, however that resistance manifests, it essentially clouds the natural attraction that you have for healing. So the moment that you run out of money, it is just as if you have cut your finger. And just like the healing properties that race to restore the place where you have cut yourself, the healing properties around your money race to restore that money to you. But what happens is that you start worrying, you start trying to chase money, you start wondering when is money going to come next. All of those things, and those things build. And mind you, some of these things you've been doing for a lifetime. So some of these processes, they're not automatic, but they're so fast, they happen so fast, it's like they're automatic. And so though you could really solve it, you can't, because you got in the way before you even realized you were in your own way. So non-resistance is how you get out of the way. Adopting the inner spiritual poise. Something that I got as I was preparing for this lesson, I said I need to make clear, non-resistance doesn't mean you don't have an intention. Non-resistance means that I am not tied to how this answer I need is going to come about. But my intention is clear. I'm asking for more money. My intention is clear. I'm asking for greater health. My intention is clear. I'm reaching for greater companionship. My intention is clear. But the non-resistance is letting go me trying to make it happen. Because the moment the rift happens, and you keep that image of the cut in front of you, the moment the cut happens, the healing properties within you rush to restore wherever you have cut yourself. And that is true of your money, that is true of your relationships, or quote unquote lack of a relationship. It's true of every aspect of your life. Pardon me. You want to practice being calm and serene and watch your life fall in order. Practice being calm and serene and watch your life fall in order. You are heaven's non-resistant, all-conquering hero. You are heaven's non-resistant, all-conquering hero. The way that you get more out of life is to become non-resistant. And non-resistance manifests in the form of anxiety. doubt, fear. Resistance manifests in the form of anxiety, doubt, fear, anger, worry, any of those things. And you just add to the list. Thinking that somebody has what you've got to go through somebody to get your good. That somebody is standing in the way of your good. Constance says, I'm with you, just spreading the truth via Facebook. Thank you, Constance. Thank you. But you get what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. So the healing happens as long as you don't resist it, as long as you don't pick the scab. And the way you pick the scab with your money is worry, anxiety, thinking that somebody has something that you don't have, thinking that, well, I've got to do things that would compromise my integrity in order to have the type of wealth that I would want to have, or in order to have the type of relationship that I would want to have. So why non-resistance is your best move? Number one, non-resistance requires real strength. Your life's journey may call for you to take a stand for someone else. Peter Norman had to do this. Your life's journey may call you to take a stand for someone else, and that stand for someone else may seemingly cost you everything. Resistance is not strength. It is the weakness of ignorance. Resistance is not strength. Non-resistance is stronger than resistance because it requires more mind capacity than resistance. Now, it doesn't just show up in the form of taking a stand for someone else. Sometimes you've got to be non-resistant in the face of your lack of success. Sometimes you've got to be non-resistant in the face of your inability to lose weight. Sometimes you've got to be non-resistant in the face of something that you have tried to do your whole life, and now you're in your 50s or your 60s and you're still dealing with the same thing. So the non-resistance is where that your hope does not diminish, that your enthusiasm for attempting to have what you want in your experience does not go away. That the 1,000th step that you take has the same, if not greater, enthusiasm as the first step you took. Sometimes you've got to be non-resistant, that you've been working on something, and for whatever reason it just hasn't clicked. You know, you've been trying to, if you're a salesperson, you've been trying to figure out how to sell better, you know, to increase your customer base. And it's been something that you've been working on for years. And though you try, you don't seem to be able to like make any, it just still seems to elude you. And to be non-resistant, to be resistant is to be concerned about it, be worried about it, to be fearful about it. Oh my God, I'm going to lose my job if I don't keep my numbers up. To be non-resistant is to recognize that what you need comes to you, and that it flows through you, and that the arc of the universe is set to bring you what is yours by divine birthright. And though it may seem to delay, the delay is simply one thought away. And so I can relax and trust that my needs will be met and that I will not be left high and dry, unable to figure this out. This is the essence of, this is why it takes more strength. It's easy to resist. It's easy to resist. It takes far more mental capacity and mental stamina to remain level emotionally in the face of whatever confronts you. whether it is your lack of success or lack of ability to lose weight or lack of ability to quit smoking or whatever your thing is, and you've been trying and trying and trying and it hasn't worked out, and you can't seem to keep yourself on a diet, or you can't seem to keep yourself from just going for that one cigarette, by the end of the day. It is to become non-resistant to what challenges you. And it takes strength to do that. It takes an enormous amount of strength to do that. Because what you want to do is you want to get engaged. You want to feel bad. You want to put yourself down or doubt yourself or whatever. But the strength is in holding to the vision despite the seemingly long delayed triumph. Number 2, non-resistance eliminates conflict. Non-resistance eliminates conflict. She said something that I thought was just powerful about Jesus. Basically, non-resistance is the defense against which no attack can be launched. Non-resistance is the defense against which no attack can be launched. The strength of Jesus was in his non-resistant attitude toward God. I am meek and lowly in heart, he said, not in any way opposing the only power that he recognized. He avowed that he was not doing the will of man, but that he was manifesting the will of omnipotence in the realm of impotence. Had he resisted, there still would have been a Golgotha. They were going to kill him. But there would have been no Easter. Non-resistance eliminates conflict. You have to remember that the universe is at peace. The universe always is at peace. When you practice non-resistance, you harmonize yourself with that peace. If you think about aquatic safety, one of the things that they tell you is that if you find yourself in water where you cannot, it's too deep and you don't know how to swim, the thing that you can do is to relax and lay on your back and float. It is when you struggle against the water that you sink. So many times we struggle against the water in our lives. We chafe up against the so-called lack of money. We chafe up against the so-called lack of relationship or whatever your lack is. Everybody got one. We chafe up against it. And it is the resisting it, the feeling some kind of way about it that keeps it alive. If you would simply just lay on your back and float, all that is yours will come to you. All that is yours will come to you. And I think we fear that because maybe we think what is ours is not a lot. My apologies, y'all. I don't know what's going on with this. Whatever, I'm going to ignore it. Anyway, the point is that what is your when we say what is yours, it's like we think that somehow what is for us will not be lavish. I'm trying to make sure I say this correctly. It's as if we think that what God wants for us is not to have enough. And so when we hear statements like, what is for me, we think in small terms. But I want you to get that everything God does in lavish abundance. Everything. Whatever God does in lavish abundance. I used to know these numbers offhand because I taught this before in a class, but at least 10,000 different species of bees. 10,000, God? I mean, really? But hey, 10 different kinds of bees probably would have, been good. right? Or maybe here, 1,000, right? 10,000 different species of bees. There are 11,000 different species of moths. There are, oh, I've forgotten this number, I think almost 2,000 different species of roses. 2,000. So the creator of the universe, the life force that animates all that is, including you and me, is lavishly abundant with everything. But then this unchanging God stops when it gets to you. Really? Really? You got to work on your God concept. You got to clean that up. You got to clean that. Everything that God does is lavishly abundant. It is we who deal in this lack. Even in your own body, the number of breaths that you take inside of a day, the number of times that your eyes blink inside a number of a day, everything, the abundance is not just outside of you, it's inside of you. It is you. And so why, how would an unchanging, lavishly abundant spirit of absolute good stop when it comes to you? So we've got to get some correction, and this is why you can become non-resistant. But I think we don't become non-resistant because we don't think that the universe is good. And so we go on two different spectrums. Either we get greedy and we're trying to smash and grab everything that we can get before we get out of here, or we go the other route, because God forbid we get mistaken for loving money. Right? And you know, they got all kind of things about, you know, loving money. And there's evil. Ain't no evil. All is good. All is good. And I have the power in my spoken word to call it so. Anyway, get me on my soapbox. Alita says, I guess because we are taught that faith without works is dead. It doesn't mean that there's not anything for you to do. And I thank you for pressing me to clarify that. It doesn't mean that there's not anything for you to do. We live in a physical universe, so there absolutely will be physical steps. But you want the steps that are inspired by spirit, not the steps that you dream of. Case in point, Jordan came to live with me, and I use this example in the blog post. And when he came to live with me, you know, I had some things I had to do to get him like kind of caught up developmentally, just in, you know, where he was. I didn't know how to do that. I wasn't reading baby books before he got here. And my life wasn't set up to read no baby books because I had other stuff that I was doing. I was building a website and, you know, doing this and, you know, so I'm immediately, you know, I'm trying to like figure out, okay, let me learn how to, like, you know, nurture a child, right? And I start reading. The intention is that I want to help this child, right? And I start doing what I know to do. And then one day I randomly meet a woman at the mall who has a son who's probably about 4 or 5 months older than Jordan. And I'm put air quotes because nothing is random. When you set the intention and then begin to do what you know to do, but remain open, then the universe can bring to you what is yours. Now, it turns out that this woman has the habit of taking her son to a different park every day. Every day. I think that's amazing. And I tell her that. I'm like, I'm so glad I met you, because not that he wouldn't go to like a different park. I just don't know every day we'd be at a different park. Every day at a different park. And so, but what it does, what I learned, I didn't know this in the research, what I learned as I was, you know, continued to study, is that one of the best ways to develop children is to give them different atmospheres, because it I don't know, forms different neurons in the brain or something like that. Anyway, it's a good thing. You want them to have that variety. And it also helps them to develop emotionally. How that is, I don't know. The stuff that these scientists do and know about babies is just amazing. But my point being is that what you need comes to you. So the thing that you have to do is to begin to put one foot in front of the other as far as reaching for what you want. But reaching for what you want is different from trying to make it happen. it was me that was making it happen, versus recognizing that this child is the Christ, just like I'm the Christ. So he's got a divine identity as well. And that divine identity is drawing to him everything that he needs. How you think he ended up here in California? It's drawing to him just like the Christ in me is drawing to me. And so you learn to stay open at the top. Pardon me, guys. Oh, non-resistance preserves and prospers you. What you need already exists, and you are already a match for it. What you need already exists, and you are already a match for it. I can't say that any more simply. If you are one with all that is, God is lavishly abundant, so you are one with lavish abundance. Anything that you can think of can be. Only what you can think of will be. Anything that you can think of can be. Only what you will think of will be. And so the work for you to support your faith is to begin to reach for the ideas, to begin to reach for the possibility. I said last week that even when we could only travel by horse and buggy, the possibility of flight was available. So even while you are only able to figure out how to pay the light bill and the phone bill, but not the gas bill, the possibility of you living a lavishly abundant lifestyle is available. And the difference between the horse and buggy living and traveling through space, through the air on a jet, is somebody mastering the law of aerodynamics. And the difference between somebody who can only get 2 of 5 bills paid per month and somebody who has enough to spare and to share is a consciousness that has mastered the law of prosperity. It's the only difference. So you must begin to open up. What you want already exists, and you are a match for it. When you become non-resistant, it comes to you, and you don't need to know everything. When we were going to the different parks, I didn't know what that was doing for his brain. It was just, this is what she did, and they were around the same age. But it ended up being exactly what he needed to catch up developmentally. And because I met her, I got connected to a mommy group on Facebook, which then exposed me to the outdoor school that he's a part of. And now when I see him against other 2-year-olds, I see that he is beyond where they are. Meaning he moves more, other than speech, he moves more like a 3-year-old. But I know it's because of the outdoor school, not because of some special dispensation, but because of the outdoor school. Because we're out there and he's balancing on rocks and climbing up trees and picking up bugs off the ground. And so, but I didn't know all of this. So you don't need to know everything. You just need to have a clear intention. Many times we get stopped on the way. Intention clear, and then become non-resistant to how it will come about. It will flow to you in ways that you never could have imagined. I met this woman randomly in a mall. We were in the play area in a mall. I don't ever pass out my number to anybody, male or female, in the mall. Do you get what I'm saying? The universe is conspiring for your success. When you become non-resistant, you allow that good to flow to you unimpeded. And everything that eludes you, whatever it is that you haven't been able to figure out yet, it is because of your internal resistance. If you would simply just become non-resistant. Just open up. God wants to bless you in ways that you can't even conceive. Just become non-resistant and affirm, I am one with my good. I am one with the resources that I seek. I'm not separate and apart. My money is not logged somewhere in only to be released on payday. That's an agreement. Money comes to me every day and in every way. If you only getting paid on payday, stop it. I mean that for real. If you only getting paid on payday, stop it. Begin to participate in the flow of the universe. God is lavishly abundant. That lavish abundance didn't stop with you. If you're only getting paid on the first of the month, when the EBT card is replenished, stop it. The sun rises every day, and every day the sun rises is a day that you can receive income. Every day, you got to shift your thinking. You've been walking in this idea that when we say what's mine comes to me, we still think like what's mine can fit in the palm of my hands, and maybe if we're willing to have a big enough consciousness, it fits inside my car. You don't have room enough to keep all that God. There's so much that would come to you if you become non-resistant, that every day you would be passing out gifts to friends, family, and strangers. Everything God does in lavish abundance. Everything. Everything. There's not one thing God doesn't do in lavish abundance. So God didn't stop with you. So if your money is tight, if your health is tight, wherever you're tight, begin to become non-resistant. Begin to harmonize yourself first through your words and through your actions with the harmony of the universe. Number 4, and this is the one, y'all. This is the one that gets everybody, because me too. Non-resistance protects you from harm. This is a challenge, so I put the little sticky there. Challenge yourself, because this is going to be the one that I'm probably going to get the most comments on YouTube about. What do you mean? My mama, yeah, your mama. Listen, if your mama practiced non-resistance, she could have her good too. Can you hold yourself levelly non-resistant toward apparent injustice directed toward you? When you become non-resistant, no stain can be painted on you. Non-resistance is the irresistibility that without hurt delivers you whenever there is need of deliverance. I would just commit that to memory. Non-resistance is the irresistibility that without hurt delivers you whenever there is need of deliverance. Is there something that you need to be delivered from right now? Are you in a financial situation that you need to be delivered from? Are you in a health situation that you need to be delivered from? Are you in a relationship situation that you need to be delivered from? Are you in what are you in that you need to be delivered from? Are you in a situation where you feel trapped on all sides? Your solution is non-resistance. It means that you get clear on your intention. I hold to the vision of freedom from whatever it is that's got you bound. I hold to the vision. And then I begin to reach for it in whatever way I know how. And I do not worry, because I know that it is the Spirit of God that protects me. I'm not protected by the alarm system, the police department, the whatever. I'm protected by the Spirit of God. Get this in your head. This is especially with all the stuff that's happening now, especially with the brutality and the students over at Mizzou and the students at Yale and all the stuff that's happening all across the campuses now, and it's been happening in the streets with the police and all of that. So that's why I said it's going to challenge you. It's really going to challenge you. Non-resistance protects you from all harm. Non-resistance is not permission for wrongdoing. It's not permission for injustice. It is an inner agreement that all is well and that I shall be delivered unscathed from whatever I am facing right now. I shall be delivered unscathed. When the Hebrew men, they call them the Hebrew boys, but they were men. When the Hebrew men were delivered from the fiery furnace, there was not even the smell of smoke on them. And the spiritual lesson in that story is that if you will lean on the only power that there is, if you will reach for the only power that there is, that power will bring you through whatever you think has you beset right now, unscathed, untouched, unstained, unharmed, undamaged. And that's available to you. But you're going to challenge yourself, because this stuff in the fake world, it looks real. It looks real that every day you can go on Facebook, on the news, or on some place and see that there's some other cop that's been accused of killing some other black person. This is in the U.S. in 2015. Or some other injustice. Every day, you're going to have to challenge yourself. You're going to have to hold your feet to the fire to see something different and to trust in the goodness of the universe. This is a subversive position, to trust in the goodness of the universe. Stop worrying about your kids. Stop worrying about your kids. Either God is all there is or God is not, but you're going to have to make a decision. Choose you this day the God presence that you will serve. Constance says, sometimes when people say, well, I'm waiting for God to let me know what he wants me to have, be, or do, I always think, well, God is waiting for you to let it know what you have so it can bring it to you. And notice I said think. Not everyone is my student. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So this is the part of my favorite part about non-resistance is because you got to step up to the plate. So in review, why non-resistance is your best move, and 4 reasons non-resistance is really the only move you ever want to make. Non-resistance requires real strength. Be strong enough to give your all if that is what is required. Peter Norman did that. The men and women in the 60s, black, white, and otherwise, who stood together in solidarity against injustice did that. But it also is required in your personal life if you've been struggling with something for years that's plagued you. Be strong enough to give your all if that is what is required. Non-resistance, number 2, eliminates conflict. You can't fight me if I won't fight you. You cannot fight me if I won't fight you. And so every conflict that you have in your life is a conflict that you have agreed to engage in. If you will simply let it pass. And I'm going to say this. We notice this in the quote unquote, business arena. So because stuff will come out in the news, and as long as the person about whom it came out about doesn't say anything about it, it passes. There's a famous actress who recently divorced her 3rd husband. Maybe it's her 4th. Anyway, divorced her latest husband. And the earlier ex-husbands came out and tweeted some negative stuff about her. Notice she said nothing. And the news cycle moved on. If you won't engage in it, it can't touch you. If you won't engage in it, it cannot touch you. It only becomes real for you when you begin to think about it and bring it into your life. And that's true for everything. Number 3, non-resistance preserves and prospers you. Relax and allow the universe to bring you all that is yours by divine design. When you feel yourself start to worry, just remember, I'm in deep water, lay on my back and float. When you feel yourself getting frustrated, like, God, am I still dealing with this? Remember, lay on your back and float. When you feel like, when will this ever be done? Lay on your back and float. Non-resistance preserves and prospers you. And finally, non-resistance protects you from harm. The Spirit of God is far better than ADT, your local PD, and anything else that you put your trust into. So this is my call to action to you. Choose a challenge in your life, something that you're really working with right now, and practice non-resistance with it. Maybe you are working with a money challenge. Maybe you are overextended in so many areas in your life. Begin to practice non-resistance in regards to your money, and then keep a journal of your results. Whatever insights and unexpected good come, but become non-resistant to it. When the bill collector calls, have some peace, and then pick up that phone and have a conversation. Whatever it is, don't run from it. Don't avoid it. Don't put it off. Meet it emotionally level. Show up. Don't run, because you're running from it. You're not picking up the phone when the 800 number calls. Keeps it alive. It's part of what's giving life to it. It's part of why you can't get clear enough to hear what the solution is, so that you can have some money to pay what you think you can't pay. So you got to begin to non-resistance is like, I'm not avoiding a phone call. Call me. And then leave a comment on this YouTube video and let me know how that goes for you. Let me know what you hear. Oh, so, Andrea says, I am so happy to hear about Jordan's progress, Rev. You are exactly what he needed. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, he is growing by leaps and bounds, leaps and bounds, leaps and bounds. I'm very proud of that little boy. Very proud of him. Any questions? I hope you get this, is that there's this place of just realizing that it's all good, just to relax, just to take a deep cleansing breath, to slow down. All is well. Remember, it's already there. It's already, whatever it is that you're reaching for or that you're really wanting and desiring, it's already there. That relationship that you really like, it would just be great, right? Be awesome not to go into the holidays again this year without somebody, to snuggle up next to, right? Whatever that is. And if you just become non-resistant to it. Non-resistant to, oh, okay, I'm going to be alone for the holidays again. Become non-resistant to that feeling. Don't engage with it. Just lay on your back and float. Allow the universe to take care of you. And by universe, I mean God. And by God, I mean spirit. Whatever your term is. But it wants to take care of you. It wants to restore you. It wants to bestow its lavish abundance on you. It wishes that you would open up so that you can go ahead and be like the I'm from Africa. I have to look that up, but it really is a lot of bees. It's a lot. It's more than 10,000. I used to have these numbers committed to memory for a class that I taught earlier, and I was stunned. But it's some outrageous number of bees. Outrageous. Different types of lions. There's not just one type of lion. There's like lots of different types of lions, and nothing shows up in just ones, except the spirit. Eve says, you're absolutely right about non-resistance. Thank you very much for this awesome teaching. Thank you, Eve. Um, any other questions? Ray, this is from earlier. Ray said, holding on to the vision despite appearances. I love that. Thank you. Yeah, you have to hold to it. Hold to it. Keep holding to it. It's there. It already exists. And the thing that keeps me focused, because there's some things that I've been trying to do with my website, and just been hitting a couple brick walls, quite honestly. And the thing that keeps me focused is to remember that even in prehistoric time, the law of aerodynamics existed. Even in prehistoric times, the law of aerodynamics existed. And so even though the possibility of flight was there, it didn't become a living reality until there was a mind willing to have it. And so even though the things that I struggle with are challenges to me, it's simply a matter of my mind changing. That's it. It's like a veil, right? And the non-resistance lifts the veil. The non-resistance lifts the veil and discloses the knowledge that at one time was something that I didn't know how to do. Alita looked it up. She says 20,000 different species of bees. Yeah, it ain't that a lot of bees? Like, seriously, God, sometimes 1,000 could cover the planet. 20,000? Not 20,000 bees, 20,000 different species of bees. And that lavish abundance just continues in every aspect of the universe. It's like this universe is crammed with abundance. And so you have to find ways to remind yourself so that you don't go to the ocean with a thimble when all the water in the ocean is available to you. Ray says different specimens of bees have various functions in nature. I've learned via National Geographic Channel. Yeah. God is lavishly abundant, and that lavish abundance didn't stop with you. Thank you so much for tonight. I'm running far over. My apologies for that. But thank you so much. God bless you. Have a beautiful night. And I will see, the new series. Let me see if I can find the book. This is, since we're at Christmas, it's a 6-part series, but we are going to do 4 of them will be online because we'll meet for those times, and 2 of them I'll just have blog posts. Hold on, if I can make it big enough. So the series is Meeting Jesus Again, and we will work from the Marcus Borg text. Where is it? Here we go. We will work from the Marcus Borg text. I hope you can see this. I'm not sure what I could do to make it bigger. Control. Oh, yeah, that makes it bigger. Okay. I don't know if you can read that. Okay, so this is the text. You can go right over to Amazon and get it. Meeting Jesus Again for the first time. This is a 6-part series. 4 of them will be part of the Bible Hangout, but we've got some holiday time coming up, and so I will only publish a blog post for a couple of them. But Meeting Jesus Again for the first time. And this is Marcus Borg. Marcus Borg is a wonderful scholar who has done some really, really great work. And I recommend any book of his. I was first introduced to him through my teacher, the late Reverend Dr. Mary Tumpkin, and he really just really kind of gets into the history of Jesus. He is a very accessible writer, very easy to read, and I think that you're going to love this text and the treatment that we'll do. But since we're coming up on Christmas, I think that it is good that we study Jesus and really get to know him again. And really what he does in this book is he surprises you. He introduces you to things in the history that's right in the text, right in the Gospels. Nothing is that he's offering is not in the Gospels, but things that you have taken for granted. Some simple things like the fact that, there are two birth narratives and they don't agree at all. Other than that Jesus is born, they don't agree at all. Alicia says, I love the emphasis that you continue to put on relaxing. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, Constance says, two creation stories. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of these things are things that he talked. Well, not the creation stories, but he talks about that in the story of Jesus. Also, the idea that the Gospels all tell the same story. They in the through line they do, but they're both out of all four of them that we have are out of different spiritual communities that were studying Jesus, and they weren't agreeing with one another. So it's stuff like that he brings up. That again, it's right there in the text, like you can see it, and once it's pointed out to you, you're like, I've been reading this Bible forever. But what you realize is that you've been given a lens through which to look at Jesus. And so we want to begin to peel back some of those layers. So I am really excited to dig into this, and we'll start that next week. So the series is called Meeting Jesus Again, and the book is Meeting Jesus Again for the First Time by Marcus Borg. If you want to head over to Amazon.com, you can go ahead and pick up a copy and read ahead, and we'll start right with the first chapter. All right. Have a great night. Thank you guys so much. I bless you. I love you. And thank you. Take care.